Hello everyone and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we will be looking at the Bismarck, the sister ship of the mighty Tirpitz and the Tier 8 battleship in the German tech tree. So if you don't want to spend all the money to get yourself a Tier 8 Tirpitz, this is the next best thing that you can get. So let's take a closer look, let's see how I set her up and let's see what I think is good and not so good about her. For starters, actually let's get out of here and let's just do a comparison between the Bismarck and the Tirpitz. Because I've done a video already on the Tirpitz, so just kind of seeing the difference between the two is probably not a bad thing. In terms of health and armor, the Bismarck's got 51,000 hit points. She's got armor specs that seem kind of similar to the Japanese battleships and not quite as good as the American battleships at Tier 8. The Tirpitz is slightly better in terms of armor. Damage reduction is a bit higher, but not much. And one of the factors that is because I've actually gone with the improved armor belt elite bonus on the Tirpitz, whereas I've gone with the secondary build on the Bismarck. In terms of, so they're very similar. In terms of speed, turn time, again, the two of them are almost identical. The Bismarck actually turns a little bit faster than the Tirpitz and gets up to speed a little bit faster than the Tirpitz. Main guns, again at Tier 8 here, we still have the 380mm guns on the German battleships, whereas I think everybody else has moved on to 400mm and higher on Tier 8. In return, the guns load a bit faster. So if we look at the two, we see we've got the complete identical guns. The Tirpitz outranges the Bismarck a little bit. It's probably due to the camo, because I'm running the Bismarck without camo, but everything else is identical. Now, the main batteries aren't all that grand on German battleships, because again, just 8 guns, plus they're only 380mm. So what I find is that at long range, they're not the most reliable ones in terms of penetrating. I've had bounces of ships with the main guns on long range quite a bit. These ships are not long range ships. And the reason for that we'll see in the next spot, which is the secondaries. These things get 150mm secondaries. 6 twin turrets, 3 on each side. You can kind of see them there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You see those? Those here, these 3, those are the secondaries. And there's another set on the other side. At least the first set of secondaries that you get. So, what do they look like between Bismarck and Tirpitz? So the Tirpitz has a bit of a faster reload on these. That's because I've gone with the secondary reload module on the Tirpitz. Other than that, the Bismarcks have a slight better range, which is because I've gone with the secondary range modules. So, and the base, they're identical. The German battleships also get auto secondaries, which on the Bismarck have a range of 5.4 kilometers, so German torpedo range, and they have a shorter range on the Tirpitz. So the Bismarck's second auto secondaries have a bit of a better range. Sorry, that was the reload time. I'm talking nonsense here. That was a reload time, 5.4 seconds versus 6 seconds. And slightly better range, but not as much. It's just under 5 kilometers on the auto secondaries. Other than that, they're 105mm identical. The Tirpitz gets torpedoes. 2 quad launchers, 1 on each side. These have their 5.4 kilometer base range. The Bismarck does not get those. In terms of anti-air, what we got, 245-109, 245-160. So the Bismarck gets slightly better small caliber anti-air, but still, I mean, if you know the historical Bismarck, she got sunk, well, she got disabled pretty much by torpedo biplanes. So, anti-air isn't great on these things for Tier 8. You might encounter Tier 9 carriers, and being dropped by aircraft can get really, really annoying. I've had one-on-one battles with the Lexington that I've lost. So, not necessarily. And in terms of concealment, the Bismarck is slightly better than the Tirpitz on full camo, but still they're very widely visible. So setup is, again, my Bismarck is slightly different because you don't have the torpedoes. The torpedo launchers, well, you're not often going to use them against enemy battleships unless they make the mistake of letting you get too close, which happens more often than you think. But their main purpose for me is to deter destroyers from getting too close, because they know that you have torpedoes, so they don't like getting that close and just torping you in the side. And the Bismarck doesn't get those. So my setup is slightly different. The elite gun specialization for the elite bonus gives me a better reload time on the secondaries and in the auto secondaries. I could have gone with the main armor belt, but yes, I've did this, and for a reason. Because, when we look at my equipment, I have actually, in the first slot, instead of getting the gun secondary reload booster that I've got for the Tirpitz, I've gone with the secondary modification 2, which gives better firing range for both the autos and the regular secondaries, and which gives a better shell dispersion for both of these. And again, the reason here being, I don't have torpedoes for close-range destroyer deflection. I need to rely on my secondaries to be able to deal with destroyers, or at least deter destroyers that are maybe not on full health from getting much closer. The rest of the setup is the same as on the Tirpitz. So I've still got the deck protection mod. I am not 100% sure what the actual impact of this is, because it does say minus 25% risk of fire on deck. What does that mean? Does that mean non-penetrating HE hits not setting fire? Because penetrating HE hits obviously go through the armor and explode inside the ship. So either inside the superstructure, or they go through the deck armor and explode underneath. So I'm not sure. German ships are very, very flammable. German battleships especially. They are extremely flammable. Carriers are nightmares. I get double, triple fires even with this change, and I have tried the fire flooding resistance as well. I get set on fire so many times by aircraft. It's not even funny. And yeah, the base value is relatively low, and we can have a look at that again in a minute. But that's still what I'm running. Now, one thing that I have considered running here, that I have considered running instead of the deck protection mod, is the propulsion modification. Because dodging torpedoes in the Bismarck is tricky. I mean, so it is in the Tirpitz, but you don't get torp from that close range in the Tirpitz, because if you have torpedoes of your own. In the Bismarck, destroyers, especially if they have any clue what they're doing, can and will get close to you, secondaries or no. And slamming the brakes on doesn't really do very much with the current propulsion settings. And this only gets worse. We'll have a quick outlook into the rest of the tech tree in a minute. But that's definitely something that I've considered. But for now, I've stuck with the deck protection mod. The third slot, traditionally in battleships, for me at least, goes into the torpedo defense mod. Because you're in a battleship, and if you're hitting a destroyer who's either scared and drops too far, or who is inexperienced and drops too far, then you can dodge. But if you're a tier 8, right, you will hit tier 9 destroyers. They know what they're doing. They will rush you. They will run up close, and they will drop their torpedoes on you. And you will, even if you steer into the torpedo drops, if they drop a tight spread, you will eat 1, 2, 3, 4 torpedoes. That happens, right? So reducing the amount of damage torpedoes do is not a bad thing. The Bismarck is very sturdy. You have a large health pool. So that's a relatively good thing to do. So again, if we look at the protection, we've got 12.5% fire and flooding resistance, and we've got 17% of torpedo damage. Now, if we have a quick look at the tech tree and look across to the other tier 8s. So if we look at the Northcal on the American tech tree, she has a 20% fire and flooding resistance. That's almost twice. And she has a 15% torpedo damage reduction base without any mods here. The Japanese tier 8, go across there, the Amagi, is not very well armored at all, but she also has 12.5% for fire and flooding resistance and 15% torpedo damage. So we are not in the most well protected ship. The Bismarck is very sturdy and very, very hard to sink, because she does have a very large health pool, but you will take torpedoes and fires and things. So expect to take damage. The way I see these ships being played is aggressive, because the main batteries are not amazing, especially at range. The accuracy is okay. You can help the accuracy with the precision aiming consumable, but I get semi-pens, I get bounces quite a bit at long range. I have to get really lucky to get a Citadel at long range with plunging fire with these 380mm shells. Whereas at short range, they can do a lot more damage. They can be really, really brutal, even against something like American battleships if you're at mid or short range. Plus, your main feature, or for me at least, the main feature of the German battleships is the secondaries. Because you have the two sets, and don't underestimate these auto secondaries. They might just be 100mm ones, but they fire rapidly. They have a good range, at least on the Bismarck, with almost 5 kilometers. Every 5 seconds, you get 8 on each side of this, so you get a fair amount of fire coming out of this thing at a relatively close range. So anything that comes within 5 kilometers of the Bismarck, or the Tirpitz for that matter, gets subjected to these things. And their damage adds up as well. So, brawler ships, close range ships, the whole speed setup, and I mean, she is fast. She does almost 30 knots. I think this is not yet taking into account the supplies. So, she does almost 30 knots. These are close range ships, right? And as such, I like to play her to her strength. I don't like to sit back with German battleships. Now, one thing I mentioned earlier, that when I was talking about the propulsion mod, we look at Tier 9, the Friedrich der Große, Frederick the Great. She goes 27 knots, but it takes her almost 41 seconds to get that fast. And her traverse speed is even worse. That's a long time to ramp up to speed, which means torpedo dodging gets significantly harder with this thing. We look at the Große Kur first, at Tier 10. She gets 28 knots, but she takes almost 44 seconds to get up to speed. So, if you're in a brawler battleship, and it takes almost a minute to actually get up to speed, not sure I'm feeling that. So, another thing with these top tier ones is that the range of the 150mm secondaries actually is reduced, which I really, really don't get. So if you see they have a base range of 6 kilometers on the 150mm in Tier 10, if I look at the Bismarck, my range with my mods on the 150mm is at 7.6. So even with mods, I'm not going to get that up there in higher tier ships. So the Bismarck actually has really good long-range secondaries, and 7.6 kilometers is very long range. But I'm not sure if there's a change in playstyle here after the Bismarck. We will see when we get there. But for now, let's focus on her, and let's see what we can do with her. In terms of supplies, my standard setup: reload time, hit points, because definitely hit points, and ship speed and traverse speed, because yes. Fast ships. My captain that I have set up, he is obviously underwater protection expert and torpedo alert in the first 2. I have gone with the artillery maintenance. High alert might actually not have been a bad choice. I have just been too lazy to reset him so far. But in retro, this is a captain from a couple ships back where this wasn't so much of an issue yet. But it's with the Gneisenau and increasingly now with the Bismarck. Having the damage control kits on cooldown might actually be better than the additional mine battery accuracy. I mean, they're both good, right? But I get set on fire. If carriers are in play and I get focused, I get them set on fire so many times. Victorious Charge is kind of a no-brainer here. I've gone with Survivalist because I really need because 15% additional hit points is a lot. Because hit points are a percentage, so given the large health pool of the Bismarck, you can actually heal quite a bit back. Which is also why I've got the Generalist for for another hit point recovery and a bit of more resistance after using a damage control kit. So one thing I'm really curious about, again, is the armor cupped, what's it called? Something cupped armor piercing shell. Let's check it out. Because I forgot, not the IFG, no. Armor piercing cup shell. Armor cup piercing shell, yeah. Armor piercing cup shell, that thing. So I'm really curious, because for once, this gives us a bit of information, which I find quite interesting, about the algorithm behind the damage calculations, right? So it does tell us that there is a penetration value for armor piercing shells, which is obviously individual and not global. And there is a armor piercing shell penetration power sustainability. So air resistance apparently is a thing, because if air resistance wasn't a factor, then this skill wouldn't make any sense, because it does change. This is a variable in the algorithm of how penetration is computed. So air resistance probably falls into distance. So the further you shoot, the slower your shells get. And the shells have a base penetration by themselves, which then probably gets offset against the respective part of the armor that you've hit, and whatever other values the other side has to prevent you from getting through. So given that the 150mm secondaries shoot only armor piercing, and that given this is a German battleship, so the main armor piercing is very good, right? Don't get me wrong. Just because they're 380mm, the actual damage they do is monstrous, with 1,770 on the 380mm. The high explosive, not so much. You can use it against destroyers, and it does work, because you do full damage. But it's not the greatest, definitely not. And you only have 8 guns, but you have 19 seconds reload. So, in summary, flammable ships does not like getting under air attack at all. Close range brawler, quick. Not the most maneuverable ship out there, but for a battleship, not actually terrible. So, plays a lot like the Tirpitz, just minus the torpedoes, which is why I've tweaked the setup slightly towards the secondary build, an even more secondary build, and to deter destroyers from getting close to me. So, without further ado, let's give her a try. Alright, no carriers, that's a good start. And we've got 1, 2, 3 battleships, a cruiser, and 2 DDs. I'm not counting the bot DDs because they're not that dangerous. But there's a Fletcher and a Benson, and that's not fun. And we're playing Haven. Okay, so where are we going? Let's see if we can go C and contest C Cup. Good, play it safe. But, let's support the Benson. Let's see where she's going. And what do we have with us? There's a North Carolina. Benson's going C. As you see, it takes her a while to get up to speed. It's not terrible. But let's see if we can get some flanking action out here. And if we can make something happen on C Cup. Will depend very much where the enemy team's going. So A Cup's our safe cup.
Our team captured the area.
B Cup will be contested. Well, let's see if we can come around this way. So they're going D, which is their safe. And then they should come out pretty much between these 2 islands here.
Enemy team captured the area.
So we're kind of just heading that way. And let's see what we can do. Okay, there we've got a battleship. Whatever destroyer capped D is going to come out through that hole there. So hopefully the Benson gets into C.
Our team captured the area.
But the Benson, yes, gets into C. Okay, let's slow down a bit. And there comes a North Carolina. Now I want North Carolina, please. Okay. Oh, there's an Alabama. Okay. There's more in around here than meets the eye. Okay. Let's turn back a little bit, because I think we just lost our Benson. Did we? No, he just went somewhere. Okay, the reverse. And use the secondaries against the Fletcher. And since I've got armor piercing loaded, let's just use it.
Enemy team captured the area.
Okay. Now come the auto secondaries. And I think the Fletcher just dropped her load, so Let's see if we can just do away with him. There we go. Okay. And we're set on fire. Of course, we're set on fire.
The situation is under control.
There's the Alabama. There should be another destroyer somewhere here. Let's switch on the Hydro. Oh, there's the Fletcher. And there's a Benson. Okay. Brakes. Secondaries. There's the Fletcher as well. Okay, we're shooting with armor piercing on destroyers again. It's not what I was having in mind, but... Okay. No torps? Maybe you drop torps the other way. Okay. We have good range on the secondaries, so let's make use of it. There's the Benson. Before he drops out of secondary range. I want to use the main guns against the... What's that Alabama doing over there? Okay, let's see that we can secure C Cup. Alabama is just kind of sitting there.
Our team captured the area.
Okay.
Nice shot.
What are the destroyers doing? Okay, let me get my gun turrets turned around, and then we can talk. Okay. Let me get my turrets turned around. Then we can rush this guy. There we go. Oh, nope, we don't have time. Benson wants to play again. I just never get to do what I want to do, is it? Okay, come on, secondaries, turn around.
Enemy torpedoes spotted. They're under attack.
Okay, does she have any torpedoes?
Torpedoes.
Yes, she does.
Good job.
We got her down and turn the ship around. Okay, that hurt.
Taking on water.
But I think we've got this pretty much. At this point, let's rush the Alabama. Whew! We got all the destroyers, didn't we? Today. Which way are our mains pointing? This way. Okay. Do not want to give broadside. Let's see if we can skirt by him. Ah, we're dead. That's okay. Maybe, maybe not. No, we're dead. Undeservedly so, but they've got this. We've got some... Come on, right? You've got this, guys. We've got all the caps. You just have to talk this guy. There you go. Come on. You got this, right? Yeah, good job. Oh, careful, careful, careful. Don't die. Okay, come on. Use your guns. High explosive, non-armor piercing. Come on. Seriously? That's alright. We're winning on points. We're winning on points. Okay. Yeah. That was a lot more destroyer action than I wanted to have. But, yeah, that's things you can do. And, well, at least we got to show the secondaries. And we got a couple citadels. We got a double citadel and then Alabama. I just wish I hadn't taken the last torps from the Benson and had maybe a heal left, then I would have been able to do a bit more. You know what? Let's do another one and see how this is going to turn out. Alright. A Mahan, another Bismarck and a North Carolina. And more battleships. So, what do we got? A Mahan, a Colorado, and myself. Okay. Seems fair. Let's do this. We start spawning on this side. So, my luck will have it. I'm going to run right into the enemy destroyer. But
Battle starts.
I want to make sure they're not coming around this way, so we're going to go down here.
Hello.
Okay, at least I've got our Mayhem with me. And who's that on the other side here? That's a bot. Okay. So, let's support him then. Going down here. I mean, it's mostly battleships on the enemy team, so he should be fine. Plus, he should have a smoke, so... Where is that bot going? Yeah, bot's buggering off. That's what I figured. They easily abandon this side if they haven't spotted anything yet. Who do we have here? Enemy North Carolina. As long as I don't have anything better to shoot at. Oh, there's a cruiser. There's the Wichita. Let's take that guy on. And she's already in secondary range. Okay, there comes the enemy Bismarck. Okay, leave the cruiser to me. I've got this. Oh, sturdy American cruiser. Okay. Let's team up on this Bismarck here. Gives us a bit of an idea. Open up the distance to the other ships. I'm trying to hit the superstructure with the secondaries because they... Let's go into a full turn. Up. She's dead. Okay, that one's down. Now we've got double fire going, so we kind of need to get out of here first. We've got too much attention for us here. Triple fire, sure. Give me all the fires. I have a fire in return. Yep, thank you.
We hit the enemy.
Okay. Let's try to aim a bit higher to hit the superstructure. Not quite. I actually want to get some distance between me and you, my friend. Okay, we got another fire going. I need to get out of here and heal up. What is it looking like? Not good. We're one ship down. Why are you shooting high explosive at me? Stupid bot. No. No fires.
Situation is under control.
No more fires. There we go. That's better. That should be the bot. Okay, done. The Mayhem is somewhere out here, which I'm not happy about, because I definitely don't have enough health to deal with him. Oh, he's up there. Okay, good. Let's turn around. Who's that? Okay, heal. That's a bot Nagato. Where's the other battleship? Oh no, is he AFK up there? Or is he just stationary? I am only seeing the Mayhem and something. Where's their third battleship?
Enemy team
Okay,
is
he's
about to
down.
win.
Let's get some shots out. So there's the Mayhem. Okay. Oh, it's up there. Okay. Yeah, that might not be enough. Okay, nope, they killed one. Okay. Mayhem. Where are you? I'm not going to use my Hydro quite yet. Just in case he decides to smoke up. Because it's American destroyer, they have smoke. It's going to turn in towards him. Is he dropping torps?
We're under attack.
Is he doing the run up?
Target hit.
power ahead. He's gonna have torps out. Yes. Full turn. Can dodge the second spread at least. I'm not sure if it's gonna be enough. Okay, that's one dodged. We need to switch these to high explosives. Ah, Mr. Mayhem, now you're out of torpedoes. Now what? I've got another heal up. Of course, now he smokes, but I needed to see these torpedoes. Where is he? We're leading in points, as long as I don't die. Oh, there he is. Line shots. Nah, he's stuck in his smoke. But we win on points. And that's a high caliber. Nice one, nice one. Yep, that's the Bismarck. Not quite a Tirpitz, but if you know what you're doing and you are facing enemy destroyers, you can still do a lot of damage. So we look at this. We've done 50,000 damage with the mains, and we've done almost 40,000 damage with the secondaries. These things are brutal. I love these secondaries. Brawl a battleship, right? Get close, get them to work. I mean, look at this. We've got 13,000 damage, 126 hits by the auto secondaries. These things actually make a lot of impact. They have set 3 fires. They've done 10,000 fire damage. Okay, it was a bot, because bots don't damage control, but still. These secondaries are amazing. And good job, the Colorado back there, for defending our cap. Well done. Because if the cap had been empty, they might have been tempted to go and try to cap it out. But this way the Mayhem went for me, and that was definitely the wrong choice on his side. Because you don't tussle with a Bismarck if you're in a destroyer, and if you're alone and I have nobody else to shoot at, then even without torps, this is still a very dangerous ship. So the Bismarck. You can get her if you don't want to or can't get the Tirpitz, and she's almost as good as the Tirpitz. I haven't even bothered to put a camo on. Usually, I would with this ship I would definitely recommend to go for the Seaborne Assault camo, at least if you don't want to get the historical camouflages are stupid expensive, but the 2% hit points is not to be frowned upon, and yeah, she's a good ship. I definitely enjoy her. And I'm going to continue up the German tech tree and see what comes next and how we can play as they come. That's it for today, folks. I'll see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.